Minneapolis City Council, the city where George Floyd was killed by police 2 weeks ago, has pledged to dismantle its local police department and replace it with a new model of public safety. It stated that the current system could not be reformed and therefore had to be disbanded. But what does this actually mean? Activists calling on their local governments to defund the police want to cut law enforcement budgets and reinvest the money towards social services, including youth programs, mental health services, and treatment for addiction.
Our commitment is to end our city's toxic relationship with the Minneapolis Police Department, to end policing as we know it, and to recreate systems of public safety that actually keep us safe.
There is no long-term plan, and reinforcements aren't coming anytime soon.
That is what the head of the Minneapolis 3rd Police Precinct said in an email to a business owner who said his employees are afraid to go to work. Our Jennifer Merrily spoke with people about their concerns and the message this sends in an area that has seen a recent rash of crime.
The neighborhood block of shops near 48th in Chicago has felt the impact of recent crime.
A couple robberies, 2-3 robberies in the area, and some break-ins, and then a couple of crazy stunts.
This surveillance video shows a group that is accused of robbing Chad Stamp's wife inside her gift shop, 14 Hill, during the lunch hour earlier this month.
So they stole their car, stole their wallet, checkbook, everything.
Stamp says one of the suspects punched someone trying to help her. There's a window broken at Town Hall Tap. Someone opened fire inside the Pizza Hut. The employee who was there at the time has now quit. And a car flying down the street crashed into a bus stop and business.
I'm scared for my coworkers and all that. It's worrisome to see people that I care about just kind of in a dangerous area.
Business owners in the 5th Precinct are also asking for additional protection from the uptick in violence. 2 weeks ago, they learned 8 officers protect the 20 neighborhoods that make up the precinct. Cries for help continue to come out from residents in the 4th Precinct.
Help us, come and see what's going on. And we're not really getting any responses from the mayor or the city council. We feel kind of alone right now.
This is something we need to treat very urgently before more people die.
All the cries for help have one thing in common. All say they have not heard directly from city leaders about a plan to attack the uptick in violence.
People are empowered right now because they're thinking that, oh yeah, less police force, that means we can go and have whatever kind of fun we want to have. Shooting up everybody, killing people, killing teenagers in the middle of the day.
During Friday's city council meeting, not one mention of the violence or a plan to confront it. Most people we talked to for the past 4 weeks say city leaders need to step up and help residents and business owners, both who feel helpless against the violence.
Olivia Arnold is just one of thousands of drivers who had their car stolen this year in Minneapolis. Being victimized led her to seek more information through social media groups like the Uptown Crime Facebook page.
And that's kind of where I realized that this has been happening a lot lately.
The page is packed with personal and witness accounts of recent carjackings and strong-arm robberies. One woman had her purse ripped away from her outside this Aldi in broad daylight Sunday, with her sister posting that the thieves put her in a chokehold.
It just was a crazy time.
Steve Taylor moderates the Facebook page.
What we're hearing again and again is people don't want less public safety, they want better public safety.
He feels the stats prove their point. In the city's 3rd Precinct on the south side, robberies have more than doubled in 2020 compared to this time last year. Car thefts are up 67%. Just west in the 5th Precinct, they've both jumped nearly 50%. After his interview, our camera caught a road rage incident involving a baseball bat. This incident during the daytime and the crimes have made Arnold nervous about a simple grocery store trip. She even stopped carrying a purse.
We just want to be able to feel safe in our community.
It may just be the closest thing to a get-out-of-jail-free card. Jaleel Stallings, charged with attempted murder, prosecutors say he shot at a SWAT team during the riots in May. Someone paid $75,000 cash to get him out of jail. Darnica Floyd, charged with second-degree murder for stabbing a friend to death. $100,000 cash, and she got out of jail too. There's Christopher Boswell, a twice-convicted rapist, currently charged with kidnapping and sexual assault in 2 separate cases. $350,000, all cash, and he walks out too. All 3 would probably still be sitting in jail if it wasn't for the Minnesota Freedom Fund, the group that paid their bail, no questions asked.
Last time I was down there, said, we hate it when you bail out these sex offenders, was exactly what they said.
Greg Lewin is the group's executive director, who says it's not about the crime, it's about the systems.
I often don't even look at a charge. specifics when I bail someone out. I'll see it after I pay the bail, because it's not the point. It's just that it is not the point. The point is the system that we're fighting.
And now the Freedom Fund has a whole lot more money for that fight. Prior tax returns show in a good year they pull in about $100,000 in donations. But after the police killing of George Floyd and supportive tweets from Hollywood celebrities, they've now received more than $35 million in contributions. Before the killing of George Floyd, Freedom Fund bailed out 563 people with an average bail of $342. Since Floyd, the fund has bailed out 184 people, but the average bail is much, much higher, $13,000.
There has to be some scrutiny on this.
Jeff Clayton is the executive director of the American Bail Coalition.
Have you noticed a recent pattern in who they're bailing out?
Well, it's got to be violent criminals, because that's all that's left. There's nobody left. There's no peaceful protesters for them to spend this kind of money on.
The Bail Coalition recently wrote a letter to the Hennepin County Sheriff, threatening to sue if it didn't release the names of inmates bailed out by Freedom Fund.
A judge or a prosecutor should know if it's Vladimir Putin's henchman posting the bond for this guy, or if it's a co-conspirator, or if it's part of organized crime to bail the person out.
The bail bond industry is highly regulated, but come to find out, when a third party like Minnesota Freedom Fund comes here to the jail and pays all cash to get someone out, there is no public record of that transaction. There is no transparency. We were surprised too. The only way the Fox 9 investigators found out about these Minnesota Freedom Fund cases was to dig deep into the individual court records to find a notation that Freedom Fund was paying for the bail. Otherwise, we wouldn't know.
Freedom Fund points out that not everyone they bail out is charged with a crime. Domestic assault charges against this man, who we're not identifying, were dismissed. But then, not everyone they bail out comes back for trial. Donovan Boone was charged with breaking into the home of an ex-girlfriend and choking her. She thought she was going to die. Freedom Fund bailed him out for $3,000 cash, and he hasn't shown up for court since.
But you mentioned some community groups are also concerned about some of the people who have been released?
That is a relatively new, as of last week, conversation that's getting started. We'll see where it goes. I'm curious. I'm curious to see where lines get drawn by those folks.
Freedom Fund is already drawing that line, convinced that releasing those charged with even violent crimes will make the scales of justice more balanced.
I'm American. Real patriots link up. Real ones gonna speak up. I'm American. Real patriots link up. Real ones gonna speak up. In the land that I love, in the home of the free. Stars and the stripes be all that I can be.